Hey everyone, Rabid Hedgehog here, and we want to thank our sponsors before the start of this video. Shout out to Law Tigers out there riding with us right now, but standing with us in the event of an accident. Need custom racing leathers or gear for the everyday ride? AGVSportUSA is here for that, and based out of Argyle, Texas, and serving riders nationwide. Also, we want to thank Doug Crawford, an independent AMSOIL dealer, for providing us with the fluids that keep our machines running well on into the future. Visit the description below for web links and contact details to get in touch with them today. Hey everyone, Rabid Hedgehog here, and I just want to preface this video real fast. As many may believe, I am a Harley hater or something like that, because sometimes the reviews are not as favorable or something like that, and the case is, no, I am not a Harley hater. I actually pull for this company, and it's more out of a passion / disappointed child / something base that comes out of me when I see this company do something that the shareholders and stockholders control, and the engineers and everything can't quite overcome it. It's like the bean counters win and the people who have the passion lose. And that sometimes will conflict with the people with passion, as it does here in this video. You have to remember, my first motorcycle was a Sportster. And I have grown up with Harley-Davidson. My family has had Harley-Davidsons. I have had 6 Harley-Davidsons. And I have liked most of them. So there's something about the company that I've always liked. It's just that the turns that they have made and the turns that they haven't made have kind of annoyed me in some ways. Now, I want to point out that most of my reviews are very linear, and I post things as they happen. So, as this review starts, everything is happy and discovery mode, but then something happens later on down the road, and I'll stop the video there, and we'll go into what happened after. So let's roll the footage.
What's up everybody, Rabid Hedgehog here, and would you look what's below me, the Sportster S, new from Harley-Davidson, coming up. And I have it in sport mode already, because why not? Having some fun with that there. Alright. So the Sportster S is brand new, using the Revolution 1250cc engine. This machine, to me, is dead on an attack on the Indian FTR versus anything else. It'll scoot, that is for sure. It'll scoot. Now this has kind of Harley's newer ergonomics, and I'm still not convinced on these just yet. So when it comes down to how this is controlled, everything is done kind of on the top side of the control panels and everything, so it doesn't quite feel as natural as it normally should. Right now I'm in rain mode. I went ahead and bounced it off of sport so I could feel that rain mode. Definitely does take a little bit of the pep out of it, that's for sure. Takes a lot more to get the throttle to respond on it. Now over here you can change it on the fly. Mode button changes your modes. You have rain, road, and sport. There's your engine cutoff switch with a starter button right there at the top. Kind of an awkward positioning. Oh man, the suspension on this thing. I heard it was short. It is short travel. I've been going over these roads on multiple different motorcycles already today, and I already have a feel for what that normally has been, and that was not what I was expecting. Oh, it's a Sportster. It's definitely a Sportster when it comes down to this. Go ahead and click it over into road mode now. The middle of the road, the standard. Alright, some more things to talk about on the left side. There's a whole lot happening on the left side. That's where everything is happening over here. Oh, this thing does not turn in very well at all. Did not like that turn in right there. I might have to clean that up a little bit, but pushing it in, it just did not seem to want to come. I mean, look at the size of that front tire. That's a big beefy thing. But anyway, back to the left side of this thing. So now you have your flash pass and your bright over here at the top. You do have heated grips, you do have your information. You can go trip A, trip B, regular odometer. This one's got 2,210 miles on it, outside temperature, range, on fuel, and you're back at your trip. You do have a clock. You do have a digital tachometer. It'll scoot. I will give her that. It will dadgum scoot. It's got a good engine on it. Power's way more forthcoming after about 2,500 to 3,000 RPM. You start feeling an inkling of it, then you're at 4, and you scream all the way to the red line at 8. So it has got some power to it. I'll put all the detailed specifications of power and everything down below, prices and all that good stuff. Show those off here. Anyway, cruise control, heated grips, like I said, go through all that fun stuff. Here's your information page. There's quite a bit of things on this particular motorcycle. It does have the Bluetooth connection for setting up your phone so you can do navigation and things like that, like your Apple CarPlays or your Android Autos or stuff like that, or the app if you have an app. I think it actually is transmitted by app. Music control. Here's your motorcycle and it's set up. You can do 3 different custom, or you can do 2 different custom power modes if you want to. That way you could set it up to where you like it, the way you ride. You notice the speed stays up there, the gear stays up there, and all that. You got diagnostics. You do have a very handy feature. I actually like that it has tire pressure monitoring systems. You can actually see them there. You can see the engine temperature, the battery voltage, and the diagnostic screen, and the bike status, I should say. You can just kind of click through all that and click on that. It takes up a new screen. It's taking a moment to load though. Has instant MPG and all that fun stuff. All that's there. There's your setup for the whole thing, and then back to home, which takes you to the regular gauge cluster there. Horn is down there, turn signals is down here. There is a traction control button right here so that you can engage and disengage. And then also there is a push to talk, probably for your voice activated Bluetooth items. So quite a bit of information out here on the Sportster S. They did modernize this one. Engine braking on this is fantastic. Acceleration is incredibly good. Now, is the engine silky smooth? Absolutely not. I can actually feel it. I've got some vibrations through the foot pegs. I got some vibrations through the hand grips. I forgot hazard light. So many things on this thing. Adjustable levers too, so don't forget that. But that suspension travel is still a Sportster. My gosh, is it still ever a Sportster. I heard it's 1.5 inches of suspension travel at the rear at the most. But you do have adjustability in the front, dampeners and all that, so you can do the rebounds and you can do all that fun stuff. You can adjust it and tune it to the way you want it. That's kind of something that's never happened before, so it's good to see that that's on there. Man, that engine braking is absolutely incredible. That thing just pulls its way down. You can see it rides nice and planted in the city style streets here. The seat is not too terrible. The position is almost fairly reminiscent of the Night Rod. So this would have to be the now spirited successor of the V-Rod Night Rod series. You can see my feet are slightly forward. So whenever I'm going down, feet are forward, comes back. I sit slightly hunched over. Shoulders are down, elbows come down, and then kind of a little bit of a straight down to the bar. This thing is definitely not one to like slower maneuvers. It definitely wants to have a little bit more speed to it. But it is very, very clunky at the slow speed. The seat is not very big on it. Like you sit back on the cowl if you try to push your legs back or your butt back, and then you sit very forward. Like my forward half is on the tank, and there's a very narrow window for my body to press into the seat there, so it's mostly on the tank. Now, it's a little bit short of a motorcycle. It's not a very extended reach, but it does feel kind of lazy. I don't feel the sporting nature that some people have been talking about on this thing. I kind of feel a very Night Rod kind of feel. It's a good ride, it can turn, but it's got very narrow margins on it basically. But like I said, this thing definitely, to me, because the flat tracker attitude with it, the way it looks, the way they did everything, the engine size, the liquid cooled, the tech, all this screams we had to go after the FTR. And to be honest, I mean, they turned it into the Harley-Davidson version of it, so they turned it into a cruiser again. Whereas I believe that it really desperately needs some mid-mounts right now. I really believe this thing desperately needs some mid-mounted controls. Like I said, it seems to handle the turning just fine. All that seems to be fine and dandy. Engine's not turning much at almost 60 miles an hour here. I'm actually pulling only about 4,300 RPM. Get it up to 6th gear. See if we can pick that speed back up there. It's only like 2,500 RPM, so the engine really is making some good power, churning out some good stuff. I'm dragging my heel, folks. You can't see that, unfortunately, but I'm literally dragging my heel. You know, why not? Give them some space, give them some space. I'll pull in here real quick. Okay, this thing really does have an issue with like turn in. I'm not a fan of the way it goes into a parking lot or a harder turn like a regular intersection, but it's very stiff. Friction zone is right at 3, cable actuated. Oh, I can clean that up maybe. No, I cannot. This thing does not like low speed maneuvers. It's going to require, if you're going to do some tighter maneuvers and some other things, it's definitely going to require the kick out method. See, I did kind of a little diving in. So you kind of come in, you kind of do this little thing, get the motorcycle a little bit actuated, and you can get it in there. I did it better on the other side, but it's going to be getting used to, because it really isn't the most balanced machine. There we go, made it in the 2 parking spaces, so not bad. I mean, you get used to it, but man, that huge chunky front wheel right there, look at that thing. It just doesn't allow this thing to really turn out well. But boy, it gets it. I mean, this engine is strong. Is it as zippy as the mighty FTR? Yeah, I would say actually it really is. Definitely feel the more torque. I can definitely feel that. The horsepower ratings are around the same. The weight is different, the distribution is different, whereas the FTR is planted and on rails, and one of the finest, most balanced riding machines and the best feeling machine on the road, one of them to me. Like I said, it's just so well balanced. This one is very top heavy. It feels it. It's very front heavy. Like, it doesn't really feel like it's got a good steering dynamic or balance. Part of that, I believe, is just the choice of doing this lower suspension. You do have a non-traditional fork up there. You do have a single disc brake up front. It is ABS equipped though. But like I said, it's just a very kind of lazy machine on turning. It's not as exciting. Oh, those bumps. Whew. I hit that one right up the middle and I got bounced off the seat and right on my tailbone. Yeah.
So as you could probably guess by my reaction to that, this is where all objectivity went out the window. See, as I stated earlier, the seat is kind of small, and the fact is I was sitting on the tank, so you can imagine what all that involved after being flung up off the seat and then back onto the hard tank. Not only was it the tailbone, it was the front side as well. So if you think about what that suddenly just did, my objectivity kind of went a little bit out the window. So if you're looking for positivity, it's not going to happen from here on out.
I have to say, guys, I know I've been hard on Harley a lot recently, and like I said, I like the Pan America just fine, you know, in terms of the way it is. Its refinement needs to be worked on, in my opinion, you know, so it needs some working. It needs some things done to it. I'm not a fan of curling my fingers over like this. I'm not a fan of that. I like more thumb control. I like that more tactile feel of others instead of rolling it through or trying to reach this finger over and trying to find it because it's just not natural. Maybe it is for ADV riders, but it's not natural for folks that have just been using their thumb their whole time. Heat is building behind the seat. I can feel my butt getting crispy. I don't got anything on the legs or anything like that at this moment. Brakes are nice and responsive. Engine braking is fantastic. Downshifts are crisp. Transmission is a spot on thing. This reminds me of the Harley Street, for real. Like, the fit and finish is 1,000 times better than the Harley Street when it came out of the factory. The way things are done is better. And the engine is fantastic, and the transmission is good. Actually, it's way more fantastic because the finding the neutral on the Street 500 and 750s and stuff like that, that was a big complaint. Woo, boy, you get some heat when you're sitting still. Coming right through there, you can see that back cylinder head, and it's right there. It says hello. It will make you know. All right, now in motion, it starts to go away. Like I said, it pushes it more toward where the back end is, so the seat gets a little extra crispy. But anyway, so this feels like Harley is trying their best to get out of the heavy, chrome, big motorcycles and trying to catch up to the real world, you know, trying to catch up to what everybody else is doing. And I mean, like I said, the Pan America is not a bad start. It really wasn't. And this one is going to stay at not a bad start, but there is so much more to think about. There's this turning, for instance, off a stop and tight turns from a stop. it doesn't respond well. It doesn't handle that well. You can get your turnarounds, you can start getting your, like I said, it's going to be a matter of getting the balance down to the motorcycle. That takes time. That's something that doesn't come just in a 20-minute ride. I could probably get this thing conquered pretty good. You saw that I was able to start getting those U-tunes pulled in. But it's just because you got to get that mass moving. That big wheel has to get in motion to start your turn. It feels off on a tight turn from a stop. It feels very heavy. I mean, look at how I'm pressing hard, and look at how lumbering that is to get over. It's just I mean, it's just like, it's not as crisp and as fast and as wonderful responding as I would like to see. Cruise control, you turn on, pull back to set. There you go, cruise control is set. Like I said, it is very hard. I have to look down to do it and find it. Everything I've ever done, it's on that left, so I go pink, pink, and I'm just doing all that and not caring anymore. I can just move. I have to think about this one, and I don't like taking my eyes off the road. So I really wish the ergonomics could have been changed and put into the thumbsticks. I really wish that that was something they did on the Pan America, and I really wish that's something they would have done here. It just feels incomplete. It's a bummer. It's a bummer because the whole thing around it sucks, and the engine is not incomplete. The engine rocks. This engine is fantastic. It's just, it rides really well. It's powerful, it's potent, the transmission spot on, the shifts are good. None of that Harley-Davidson clunk. Everything is gone. The mechanical side of it's gone. The front suspension, from what I can tell, not too bad at all. Didn't have any time to preload, of course. The rear suspension, only 1.5 inches of suspension travel. I don't care how much preload you do in it. It hurts. And it felt horrible. I mean, it has this good bounce to it. It's not planted, it bounces. And you don't ever feel great when it just bounces. You want it to be able to ride with it and be able to be in motion with the road and absorb instead of just come right off and then you even come off the seat. So the suspension travel really needs work. I know this is not the only Sportster. I know that there's going to be a regular one. And I pray, dadgummit Harley, give us mid-mount without charging us $600 for it or more. And then, of course, your people are going to be freaking charging hours and labor and all that. You're looking at $1,100 to make your motorcycle right. For Pete's sake, just make it right. Why can't you do that? I mean, I'm already angry because you can't do it. You can't figure it out. You can't come out with something that's out of the box great. I didn't have to change my FTR. I did because I felt like I wanted to. Because after riding it, I decided that, hey, the rally bar might work out a little bit better for me. Hey, this might work out, but nothing else has really changed on it. This thing, the suspension needs to be changed. The front tire needs to be smaller. It needs to be responsive. It needs to be right. It needs to be better balanced. It needs to have a lean angle. I'm already on my feet again. I mean, why did you do this again? Why? I mean, and then you wrapped this beautiful engine in this thing, because this engine is just intoxicatingly powerful. Yeah, I mean, it just, you get a fistful throttle and the braking package is good on it, even with a single brake. Like I said, downshifts, the mechanical of this machine is where it needs to be. The mechanics of the machine are perfect. It's the user experience that for sure needs a lot of work. It's been, what, 20 minutes and my tush is on fire. My tush is also asleep at the same time because the seat is not the best. And I mean, this is the top tier. This is the everything. This is the we did everything we could kind of thing, but you didn't go far enough again. You seriously failed to go far enough again. And I don't know if I can forgive you much longer, guys. It's a great effort. The engine is fantastic. The engine is fantastic, but if you're making something like this, there's plenty of things right there that is exactly how this motorcycle should have been, exactly how this should have came out of the factory. Mid-mount controls. That would have been fantastic. I got my feet back just on purpose, and it feels better already. It helped the seat because you're not putting as much weight on your backside when you got the feet like that. I mean, mid-mount controls would have been fine. Handlebar's in a good spot. I don't mind the handlebar. Don't mind the handlebar, don't mind the placement. Everything like that's fine. Lever position fine, everything's good. Those ergos are pretty strong. Looking good there. But guys, this motorcycle is barely above average. Honest truth. All of us doing it. But seriously, this motorcycle is just barely above average, and that really is sad considering the state of where Harley is and where they need to be. I would really like to see this be stronger. I really would have liked to see this be stronger. So at any rate, can't recommend this one. It needs work. It really needs some work. Keep that shiny side up, folks. Catch you on that next ride and review.